Welcome to the Aussie Grappling Girls podcast,
where we talk all things female jiu-jitsu.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Hannah.
And together, we're Joe Hannah. This room is really warm. It's like...
sweating.
Fuck.
I needed to lose some weight anyway, apparently.
Yeah. That's so funny. Oh, hilarious.
I'm all like a blob. All the different meanings for being a blob. Talk about freaking relationships.
But he likes listening to our podcast throughout the week, so he was like, no, I'll wait and listen to it later on, in the middle of the week.
Oh,
when good. I miss you.
And me too, of course.
And you too. I think it's you, actually. Yeah. He's like, oh, I miss Hannah. He's like, I'm going to Albany. I need to give Hannah donuts.
It's all about me.
I'm like, what about my donuts? last time I was like, I mean, I wouldn't mind if we get some donuts for us. Well, let's just pick out a couple and then give her the rest of them.
Relationship friend goals.
Yeah.
And it's like boyfriend and best friend. You've got to
gotta test the
You've
water.
got to learn where this works and where it doesn't.
Yeah, good.
It's good.
The friend boundaries, it's great.
It is.
Nah, you guys have had a really good friendship from the start.
Yeah, we've kind of got along instantly. It makes life a lot easier too, because you feel that you can talk about things instantly, and
it's cool when you have a friend that's in a relationship with someone. They're so similar as the person, or they have that sort of really cool relationship that you're instantly friends with their partner, because you're well, they're so similar, so it's I can I can vibe with that.
It's good. It definitely makes things a lot easier. And if you want to hang out and do stuff, good chance that you're going to like the same thing. So, except in my case, because my husband doesn't do jiu-jitsu and has no interest in knowing about it either. He's like, good work. He tries. Dear soul, he tries. But he's
gotten a lot better.
He's taken 3 years to get there. Though.
Yeah.
I remember the first 3 years was hell. He hated me doing jiu-jitsu so much. And I think people on the outside of jiu-jitsu don't understand the dynamics that go into it.
Nah.
So...
from the outside, I think it looks really sexual. It can be misconstrued as being really, so close and sexual and that sort of thing. It's you're touching people all over and you're really in their personal space. Your face is in their crotch and you're yeah, I don't like it, but, I want the pass. So, it's win or lose here.
Yeah, and it's taken a lot of coaching from a lot of different people to get to this end point. And it was not jiu-jitsu wasn't almost ended it, but there was a lot of that. Definitely was a huge contributor to us.
You've changed, not changed, but you've changed for the better because of jiu-jitsu. You've morphed and grown as a person because of
100%.
The jiu-jitsu journey, and you've been with your husband for how many years now? 10? 11 years. And so it makes sense that you wouldn't be the same person as you were 11 years ago, and especially having a big portion of that now has been taken up from jiu-jitsu. The first 5 years of you and your relationship with him is very different to the next 5 now being...
But I think also
jiu-jitsu.
He does FIFO as well.
Yeah.
So that dynamic is changed again on top of that, because he didn't see me grow in certain stages.
Yeah.
And I 100% reckon I'm a different person from 5 years ago to
absolutely,
I am now.
Yeah.
And I know I'm more direct and more
assertive.
I need to be more direct.
Yeah. No, but you're very... I mean, you've always been quite assertive, but it's even more so now, but it's assertive with strength behind it, not that sort of a...
You're not sure what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's definitely taught me a lot, and I had to say to him, and I was being unfair, because you get obsessed with the sport. I think in any sport, to a degree, you get obsessed with. Yeah. And I did. Yeah. In the first 2 years, I trained as much as I possibly could. I was living and breathing jiu-jitsu. Therefore, I was putting taxing, I was taxing our relationship because I was spending so much time doing jiu-jitsu.
To the detriment of your relationship.
Exactly.
Because it was so separate from like what he does, his like hobbies and his interests and stuff. It is so like disconnected from that.
Yeah, definitely.
That it's like you go and do your thing, which is jiu-jitsu, and he does his thing, and it's like I think he probably felt like there was like this big like
it was
gap between you guys that suddenly grew.
Yeah, it was, and he worked away.
Yeah,
and those types of things. So we had to work really hard to get back to, and now we are at such an awesome place in our relationship because he's just like, fuck off.
You fuck off, do your thing, I'll play my games.
He likes his video games, and now it's kind of
like...
Yeah,
I think he's really accepted that everyone has different hobbies and different interests, and he goes, oh yeah, I've got mine, and you go and do your thing, like, that's cool.
It's so funny, though, and he, like, does his cars, and that's all he did for ages.
Yeah. Because I remember he used to, like, quite insist on being included, like, when you go out to drinks with jiu-jitsu people or something, like, there was parts of him that really wanted to, like, you to invite him along.
Yeah.
But then he'd be like, I have no idea what everyone's talking about, and this is shit. And you're like, well, why did you want to come? Yeah. Fuck.
Or I get that, like, that when he's with his car people. He's like, I really want you to come. And I'm like, I really don't want to.
Yeah.
But we do.
Yeah. And there's compromise there.
Definitely. And we made things common, like a common interest. We both bought motorbikes. We went
You've built
riding.
common...
Yeah. And we made sure that that's...
The things that you have that
it's
you
a
share.
Focus, yeah.
Yeah.
And I get where he's coming from, like in jealousy side of things. I'm not a jealous person, so I find it really hard to understand. And people probably think this is ridiculous, but I don't get it.
Yeah.
Because
you don't feel jealousy, so you can't actually understand what drives it and what that drive feels like.
Yeah.
To be like protective or jealous.
I have to say, I've learned so much about myself, just like with you and me, and how because we talk about everything. Yeah. And what like your processes are and mine, and how you actually feel about something.
I think that's how we originally really bonded. Especially like even when I'd moved to Perth and we'd sort of like hang out together when you'd come up or I'd go down and we'd talk about this sort of thing. Yeah. And it was really, you were like really like, you know, oh, this is sort of like the issue that I'm having with it, and like, you know, having that other extra person's perspective or someone actually question you on how you're feeling. You're like, oh, that's how I'm feeling. I didn't even realise because I didn't properly question myself about it.
And just realising that, okay, because I can verbalise this stuff now. So it's taken him a long time to accept and understand. And since that, everything's changed. And that, it's huge. I think it's made my jiu-jitsu better. Yeah. Knowing that he is okay with it, and
like you've compromised too, because I remember at first when we first started talking about him having a problem with you doing jiu-jitsu, and like there was a lot of jealousy there, and there was a lot of him just feeling very insecure about it, like because there's so many guys that we train with proportionally to girls, and you know a lot of them are young and that sort of thing, and so it can feel a bit threatening. And so I think like on his perspective, if for you it just seemed like you're like, fucking get over it, man. Like I'm married to you. I love you. Can you not just see that? But like, and not being able to actually understand the insecurity that was in him. But like I noticed over time, especially like the last 2 years, it went from you being like, fucking get over it, and you being like, just deal with it, and to going actually like I know that it's an issue and I need to make compromises here to make him feel better, but at the same time, he does need to understand that I'm not going to give it up. Yeah. So you were like, you know, you sort of cut down certain nights. You go like, oh, he's flying in, you know, on Wednesdays. You're like, when he flies in on Wednesdays, like I don't train on Wednesday nights, so we can spend the night together and like hang out, and because we haven't seen each other for a week. So like that, I think would have done leaps and bounds for him, just going like, oh, like she's putting in effort and time to spend with me on the night that I come back. Yeah. And that goes a long way, I think.
I think you really need to set... What was huge for me is looking at yourself and going, what am I... Like, who... Is this the best version of me? And if it wasn't the best version of me, and at that stage it wasn't, what can I do to make this work without compromising myself? Yeah. So... I always want to be myself. I don't want to compromise me for anyone.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, so this is what I need to do, and I set myself out. Like, okay, I'll only train this amount of times.
Yeah.
We have to do this together. And I made it work. Yeah. And I made those efforts, and it just so good to change like everything.
Yeah. It's cool because you weren't butting heads as much. There was so much more compromise there. And I think when you show someone that you're willing to make compromise, they're more likely to compromise back.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas, like, I think it was like, you were like, I'm not compromising on this. I love jiu-jitsu. I'm going to train as much as I want. Fuck you. And he was just like, well, fuck you. Like, it was sort of really...
I am pretty much, though, you tell me I can't do something.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck you, man.
Yeah.
Like, don't ever tell me I can't do something because I'm not capable of doing something, because I sure as hell will prove you wrong.
Yeah. But it's really cool that you guys have gotten to such a good place with it. And, like, I know when I was living with you for that 3 months and stuff, like, it was so much easier to get along with him and chat with him, and, like, we sort of built a little side friendship that was going on. Yeah. Sometimes he'd talk to me, I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about? Yeah. But it felt cool that he was actually like, oh, like, I accept you as, like, Hannah's friend and, like, jiu-jitsu and all that. And he'd ask me about jiu-jitsu and other things like that, and it was cool. Whereas, like, before, every time I interacted with him, it was really awkward and stiff, and we were both just like, I don't know how to go about this. And, like, polite, like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, good. And that's like awkward silence, and that's it.
But I have noticed a lot of stuff coming up on people's on like the forums and stuff about, like, relationships and different dynamics, and I mean, that's why. Actually, one of the main reasons why I was just like, we should really talk about this. Because
we're both very different as well in that sense. We've had very different experiences. Because the whole time you've been doing jiu-jitsu, you've been married. Well, I mean, like, you were 6 months.
Pretty much.
You were engaged and married. Like, but basically, you've been in a long-term relationship throughout your whole jiu-jitsu journey, and you didn't meet him in jiu-jitsu, you didn't know him through jiu-jitsu, and he doesn't do it either. Like, some people get their partners on board and then they start doing it together.
I actually actively said,
you were like,
don't do it.
You're like, no, this is my thing.
I like having my thing, and I like having my time, because I'm a person that I need my space, and I need to, like, I need to have other people. Yeah. Sometimes I have friends for needs. Yeah. And I think because I'm so independent, I don't think I could handle having a partner in your face all the time. I couldn't deal with that, because that's just me. And it doesn't work for everyone, like you.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, like, when I actually started with my boyfriend at the time. Yeah. And we started it together, and it was really cool because it was something that we both really bonded over and shared together, and he was really good at actually supporting me and doing it as well. He never got jealous, and he was always really like, like, yeah, like, my girl, like, go get him. And when
he would always brag about you, hey?
It was a bit over the top sometimes. I was like, okay, calm down. Like, calm down, man. I was like never the sort of person that would post on Facebook when I won in a competition, but, like, he'd be like, my girlfriend won, and, like, got this. I'm like, calm down, like. I was like, Jesus Christ. But it was cool that he was really supportive of it. Some guys get really jealous of or protective of their girlfriends when they are doing jiu-jitsu, and some people don't let them roll with other guys. They're like, no, you can only roll me and the coach and the other girls, and that
spins me out.
Yeah. When I saw that on one of the forums, I think when we were looking, and we were just like, what?
I hate hearing about someone trying to control someone. Yeah. That annoys the shit out of me.
And the thing about jiu-jitsu is, like, to get better, you need to roll with a range of different people and to make progress. And it's like, you got to roll with everyone. And anyone that does jiu-jitsu, especially I'm sure most girls would know, especially after, like, the first couple of months, once you really start getting into it, sex does not even cross your mind when you're doing it. Like, ever. I mean, like, there's been times when I've been with a guy and we've done it, and, you joke about it and that sort of thing. It comes up. But, like, when you're not actually with a person and you're rolling with them, you're just like, I just want to choke you out.
Usually you're just like...
Like, I just want to be you.
It's either I'm trying to escape out of here, like, pronto. Yeah. Or... you're about to die. Yeah,
exactly. Like, it's really, like, it's quite competitive. Yeah. It's like, so I didn't really experience that much. Even when I first started training with my first boyfriend, and we were doing it, like, we often didn't partner together either.
Yep.
Like the first couple of weeks, I think we partnered together out of comfort, and then he was sort of like, well, I really want to like drill with other people.
Yeah.
Because he was such a social butterfly, he wanted to get to know everyone and all that, and I was like a bit more introverted, but I was also fine with going with other people. And I was like, if you want to go and drill with someone else, you go and drill with someone else. I don't give a fuck. And it allowed me to actually branch out and start talking to the other people there and getting to know them, and them to get to know me, especially when you're really fresh. Like, you're like, is this person going to stick around, and that sort of thing. So, it was cool to have that support there, like going like, we're doing this together, but we're not like together the whole time.
Yeah.
Because some people, when they're couples, they only drill together and they only roll together.
It can be detrimental to their jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Because you only get one body type that you're working on, and there's so many other range of things that, you know, you need to actually be able to trial and error on people. So, you know, it's good to actually branch out from that. But while it's something that you want to share together and do together, it's also something that, like, you do it in the environment together. Like, you're in the same dojo.
But you're not together.
Yeah, you don't always need to be together. And there will be, like, nights when you're like, yeah, I want someone familiar and comfortable, and you go, I'm going to go with my partner.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you and me go, like, let's go together. We always have, I feel like we vibe hell good when we, like, train together. There'll be nights when we're both just like, well, he's like, all right, partner up, and we're both just like, yeah. Like, without even saying anything, we just find each other. And then there's other nights when we're both like, oh, I'm fine with anything. And you like, look at someone else. I'm like, yeah, we're cool.
You're like, you look awkward today. I'm going to go with you.
Yeah. And then, I mean, like, I moved to Perth, and me and my first boyfriend broke up. And both of us continued jiu-jitsu. He was still in Albany at the time, and I was in Perth. And like, we stayed friends, and we've always had like still a good friendship from it. I haven't talked to him for a while, but I always wish him the best, and we didn't have like a messy breakup or anything, so it didn't mess up dojo dynamics or anything like that.
Because that can be a huge one.
Yeah. I think that's always the worry, I think, about relationships within a dojo is the breakup. It's like, it's not while it's happening, it's like the aftermath.
And like, we've seen it firsthand. Yeah. And
because it happens, it's like the incest that goes on in dojos, man, is it's hectic. But it happens, and it's one of those things where I don't think anyone should be like, it shouldn't happen and stop it from happening, and people like policing it. It's sort of just like, just let people go about
figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. Figure out trial and error, and as long as they don't drag other people into it, make it really messy. And I always made sure that every relationship I ever had with someone that I was training with, it was, you know, either private, and when we broke up, it was, you know, we dealt with it by ourselves, and like, it was never brought back into the gym, and that sort of thing. So there's been a couple of instances where, like, I've had casual relationships with guys that I've trained with, and it's usually been when one of us was going to leave, because I've done traveling and that sort of thing. So, you know, it was like one of those things where
it was a comfort thing.
Yeah.
Like,
you share a mutual interest, and there's always, I think there's attraction that builds between people when you're rolling. While you go, I haven't thought about sexual stuff when you're rolling them. It still builds a connection, not necessarily like a sexual connection while you're rolling. You're not like, oh man, like, I just touched him. He's like, oh god, he just grazed my tits. Oh god. Like, no, I never know.
In your face.
Oh, was it very easy? I'm sorry. I just got into it. Anyway. I don't even notice when people touch my tits. Honestly, when we're rolling, people apologise, and I'm like, why? And they're
people
like, oh,
make it awkward when, like,
they bring it up.
I don't even notice.
I do, They're decent. My boobs are desensitized when I roll, unless someone elbows it or, like, there's a sharp pain. I don't feel fuck all with them.
I usually crack up laughing if I touch your boobs.
Yeah. Oh, I think there was one hectic time when I did it to you, and like, I full on like groped you really bad, and we were like, whoa. I think that was you, fuck. It happens girl on girl too. Like, guys think it's like, oh, guys are like, oh man, like I touched their titty and it was so awkward. And you're like, girls touch each other's titties. And we're like, oh, fuck, that was funny. Or you're like, titty grab. And then you like make it awkward for each other, but like funny awkward. And you just like give it a little squeeze and you're like, there's been times when like I've been with Macca and we just I'll be like in mount and we start having a conversation while I'm in mount, so I'm like literally like lying on top of her, straddling her, and we're just having a chat with our heads like a couple of centimeters apart, like, I know, right? We're like, blah, blah, blah. We're like having a gas bag with me just like straddled on top of her, and like to the outside world people be like, oh yeah, girl on girl, woo, woo.
I've actually thought this so many times, you know, because we just literally jump on each other when we hug each other. And it's usually because, and then you're like, like, choke you out or armbar you or something. Like, it goes from a hug to I'm going to attack you.
Yeah, escalates.
How weird it looks from the outside.
Oh, man, yeah, totally would.
And because sometimes, you know when you're not in the mood for, like, real, like, full-on, like, this is me talking. I'm not like ready for someone to invade my space, and then I'm just like, yeah, okay, like, and then fuck off. Like, I have moments where I'm just like, I'm not ready for this yet.
Yeah,
I'm not warmed up. Like,
I haven't warmed up my personal bubble.
It doesn't always happen, but there's a few times, like, because it's usually outside world that not destroys that, but
pops it,
and that's where I need to get into the right headspace for training.
Yeah, I find it like if I'm in the dojo, that sort of thing's fine. Anywhere else, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing to me? Like, don't get that close.
I have that in general. I went to a work thing, and this drunk person felt like it was okay to invade my space, and I was like, dude, you need to get out of my bubble. Or I'm going to break your arm. Like, that, just, because he just kept doing it.
Yeah.
And, like, thought he was funny. And I'm like, just
You're like, no,
don't.
Not okay.
It's like, for one, I don't know you. This is a work do. We work for the same company. Like, whatever. I don't care. But it's just, like, people getting in my space that is unwanted that it's like...
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm usually pretty good. But there's just moments, and that's where I noticed it. And I was like... Fuck, this is weird.
You build such weird dynamics. We do. But, and relationships in jiu-jitsu like that, it's just, you have your personal space with them, but other than that, you know.
And there's other people that I'll, like, hug and just, you give an extra long hug because they're your people, and then other people you just, like, fist bump because you're like, no.
Yeah, building that sort of rapport and all that sort of thing.
Takes a while.
Yeah. But,
does it take a while to get back, like, from having a casual relationship and then coming back as not just broken up, but like as separate again? Like, it takes a while to build.
It's I've only had to deal with it like this is gonna sound bad. How am I gonna put this? Because I've had a fair few casual relationships and like relationships within the BJJ sphere.
Yeah.
Some of them have, like, my first boyfriend obviously was my boyfriend, a long-term relationship. And we started together and then we broke up. But when we broke up, I was in Perth and he was in Albany and he was in Mitsu, where we trained. So I'd come and visit and we did still see each other from time to time. But I'm always the sort of person that when I break up with someone, I usually try and make it really amicable, still friends. Even if I was wronged, I'm quite a forgiving person.
Yeah. Yes, you are.
Yeah, like to my own detriment. And so I'm usually really good at diffusing that sort of thing and going like, even if you've wronged me, I'm not going to treat you like a cunt.
Yeah.
Because like I prefer to be like more chill in that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then so there's been other relationships that I've had that have been probably like more like 3-month sort of things.
Yeah.
Where you know, we see each other for a couple of months and see each other outside of BJJ, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And haven't really been, like, in a relationship.
Yeah, just
it's more casual and not gonna last, and you both know it.
Yeah.
And whether that be, like, some of them, it was, like, the person was only there for a couple of months and then they were leaving. And then there was when I was living in France, it was like I knew I was going to leave.
Yeah.
And then those were those sorts of ones. It was like you knew you were going to leave, so it's like there's no hard feelings because you're like we had fun while it lasted, and we both share like the experience that we love training together.
Yeah.
There's a really cool connection with something that you like, and they're attractive people. You get to see them with their shirts off. That sort of thing.
Let me touch them.
And then there's been like maybe one or two where they were more relationshipy but didn't make it.
Yep.
And like with my first boyfriend and stuff, it was awkward for me because I think in those situations it was more to the end of the relationship was more to my detriment.
Yep.
And I was sort of just like, there was a particular experience that was really hard for me because it did upset me a lot.
Yeah.
But the dojo dynamics, I was like, I don't want to ruin it. Yeah. I don't want to make things weird for other people. Like I was thinking more about everyone else rather than myself and going like, as much as I want to confront the situation, and so many people told me to, they're like, you need to like confront this and like talk to him and all that sort of thing. It was more like, I know that if I confront it, it's going to make it really weird.
Yeah, it's going to make it a thing.
It's going to make it a thing, and it can be really awkward because I'm probably more likely to get more hurt to the point that it's going to, when I see them, I'm going to get emotional and upset.
Yeah.
Whereas I left at this point where I was just like, cool, back to friends, like let's just go back to how we were before, and I just let it slide to that sort of back to that normal state. And while it's weird for a while, and there's been times where like for a couple of months it's sort of like I don't know where I stand, and you don't want things to I don't know, get weird, but at the same time it's kind of
you're
open.
Allowed to be mad. Like, you're allowed to have those mad moments.
Yeah, and there were times when I did feel upset about it, and I'd cry about it, whether I don't think I really cried about it on the mat. Not that I can really remember. Because I've had other stuff going on in my life too.
Yeah, and that does contribute to how you deal with stuff. And to how you read a situation.
Yeah, that's right.
If you've got other emotional shit going on in the back of your head.
You're more likely to overreact about other shit. Everything's heightened.
Yeah.
I've always been quite a rational person, so I really bring in my rationality into things and go...
I've always admired that about you, and how you kind of go, well, if this is a problem, this is what I'm going to do to fix it. And I love how your brain works.
Yeah, I just reason things
I
a
love
lot.
it. And I think I've taken on board some of things, how you process things. And just that is one thing.
It does a lot. It helps calm things a lot to a really good base level, rather than, like, I don't get emotional over things that spike emotion where I act impulsively. I'm really, like, I reason things a lot in my brain before I let things out.
Yeah.
And in these sorts of scenarios with me with relationships has really helped, because it means that everyone else wasn't affected by the relationship.
And I can't remember, someone said this to me. I can't remember who it was. Could have even been you. But words last.
Yeah.
You can't take words back.
Yeah, that's right.
Once they're said for good. As much as you apologise for something, that was huge for me. Because it really stands true. Yeah. It's like, if you want to
You never forget it. They ring in your head.
It does. And I love that motto of just with relationships, friendships, everything.
Yeah.
You think about what you're saying before it comes out.
Yeah, and that's why whenever I've had a breakup and stuff, I don't say things in anger and that sort of thing, and I don't... And that's why it took me a lot. I never confronted a lot of people that broke up with me or friend-zoned me without really breaking it off with me. And I... normal people would confront me like, what the fuck's up, man? Like, tell me what's going on. But I was sort of just like... There's a reason, like, it doesn't happen without reason. I just don't know the reason. And while it eats me up inside, I can't drag everyone else into this by bringing that like emotion and anger
definitely.
to the dojo, because the dojo is supposed to be a place that people come and train and feel free of their burdens.
Exactly.
And to have other people bring in theirs, it's really hard. And I'm sure there were times when I was probably a bit more snippy with people or not talkative, or like more sad, and people ask, like, how are you going and all that sort of thing. And it wasn't always the right relationship. Like I've said, I had problems with eating and depression and that sort of things. And so there's so many different things that it could be. And I'm so lucky to have had like you and Macca, and our coach Chris has always been so lovely to me about those sorts of things, that you just know that you can go to people and talk to them about it and go, I don't need to tell the whole dojo that I'm like, oh, me and this person just broke up and we had a relationship and now it's over. And, everyone doesn't need to read your cards like that. And but I go...
Sometimes you just need to tell your story. Yeah. You don't need someone to commentate your story. Yeah. But it just needs to be, I need to tell someone. Yeah. And sometimes you just need someone like, yeah, what an asshole.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Just let it out, vent, and then...
Even if that's, like, mind you, I would tell you if you were being an asshole. But sometimes you need that. You need to get it all out. And you need to lay your cards out. And then you're like, okay, I can start, like, piling them. I can start putting them all back together again. Yeah. But I just needed to throw them out there.
Yeah, and I think that was what was really beneficial for me in those scenarios where I felt really hurt by what happened in the relationship, was being able to talk to someone, especially who knew that the whole situation, going like, had a relationship with this person, it's now ended, I don't want to ruin the dojo, the dojo environment and that sort of thing, but I'm really hurt by this. And them just be like, yeah, fucking what an asshole, I feel you, girl, and I know that you can't go on about this more because of the situation.
And I think having, like, my perspective, I didn't change my tune towards the other people.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
It's just like, it is what it is.
Yeah, you just know that relationships end and don't always go smoothly, and it doesn't make the other person a bad person, it just makes them the wrong person. Exactly. And that's what I've always had in my head, is like, whenever I've been wronged by someone in a relationship and felt like hurt by them, I just go... It doesn't make them a bad person. Yeah. It just makes them the wrong person for me.
Yeah.
And it makes it easier to get past, I think.
Very rational.
Yeah, it is. It totally is. But, and, this year I was so, like, I was at the point where I was like, I'm giving up now. Like, fuck this. I've had so many just, like, failed 3-month relationships that I'm like, it's usually been on their side that they're like, yeah, I don't want to do this. I'm like, fuck, I'm cursed. Like, what am I doing? I must be such a shit cunt. And I'm like, I'd like to think I'm a pretty good person. Like, I'm pretty reasonable and, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? But, yeah. And then, to sum it all up, then I met Kyle, who we've talked to about every now and then on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said, screw you.
Yeah. But we haven't really ever, like, talked about it. So some people are like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it's really one of those weird where you allude to it, but no one actually knows. But,
yeah, they do now.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, a lot of people that might listen probably know that we're together, especially the ones that live in Perth and that sort of thing. But everywhere else are probably just like, what?
Yeah.
But, yeah, so me and Kyle met randomly.
I still think he strategically put his bag right next to ours. I'm sure of it. I don't care what he says.
He was like, 2 hot girls, let me put my bag there. But it was a really weird, because we never crossed paths at any comps. Like, we've both been mad on the competition scene for the last couple of years.
I felt that's so weird.
And,
how not to know him.
Yeah, we've both been in... like, WA, especially Perth. Like, I lived in Perth for a couple of years and I competed regularly in Perth. Never crossed paths, never met at all. But we were mad on the competition scene and never crossed paths. And then we went to Bunbury for the open mat. Were we podcasting then? Had we started?
Yeah, we just started
setting up the podcast sort of stuff. Yeah. And we sort of went there and talked to people about it. We're like, oh, we're starting a podcast, by the way. Because you just, like, sold it to him too. So we went to the open mat.
See, it was all about me.
It was, yeah. So we went there, and that's when me and Kyle met. And we've been together for, I don't know, 5 months or something.
Something like that, I don't know.
A bit less than 6 months.
I don't keep track of this sort of stuff. It just is what it is.
Oh, it's that 5-month anniversary. Give me a present, please. But, so we met there and hit it off. And then Hannah was like, she was just like, I heard you coming down to Albany.
Yeah. No, I organised one of the open mats.
Yeah.
And there was like the people talking saying who might come. And I have a tendency, if I find out that you're coming down, I will like message you straight away to be just like, you have to come now because I've talked to you. It's the rules.
Very insistent.
So that's pretty much what I do. If I find out that you're coming down, that you're making the effort to come down, I'm very much just like, yes, come down, train. Yeah. So, and then, because I'm like, yeah, you have to.
Yeah. So, yeah, she sent him a message and was like, I heard you're coming down to Albany. And he was like, I guess I am. So, he and a couple other people came down and, like, hit it off and all that sort of thing. Actually, I didn't really let on at first that I liked him. I was sort of just like, I didn't want to seem like that little schoolgirl that was like, had a crush on the teacher. Because, like, I didn't want to come across that way. I was like, it seems so obvious. And so I was just like, yeah, he's like, one of the other people, that came down asked me about it the following weekend. I went up to Perth and she was just like, so what do you think of Kyle? And I was like, oh yeah, like he's nice. I was like, he's cool. And then like, little did she know we had like a date the previous night. So yeah.
But that dynamics, I think the podcast has helped with our friendship because every time he comes down to Albany, he brings me donuts.
So, you're benefiting from the relationship really. Isn't
so it's really good. And I feel like we're really good friends and we talk quite regularly as well.
You guys he always talks about your gift war that you have going on. He's like, I sent Hannah this gift. I'm like, what's the new theme for the gift?
That's been pretty much since we've met. That hasn't stopped.
It's literally just... He's like, if he wants to message you about something, actually, like, message write it. He does it over Instagram so he doesn't mess up the streak of the gifts.
That was me. I started that.
Yeah.
Because I remember I had to ask something and he was like, well played.
Yeah.
And then there's other times where I've ruined it by accidentally pressing like a sticker or accidentally typing stuff. And then you have to apologise. And there's a full thing that goes on if you fuck it up.
It's a rigmarole.
Yeah. So it's like there are rules to a gift war.
Yeah. So, with like a relationship like that, obviously it's like a long-term relationship now, but like I still live in Albany, he lives in Perth.
Distance is hard.
It is.
It's like,
but it's cool because we get to share something that we both really love, and it makes us like have that connection together. But like someone was asking us, they're like, oh man, you guys must just like talk about jiu-jitsu all the time, and I was like, actually we don't. We don't talk about jiu-jitsu that much at all. It's really weird.
But I find though, we, like, you and I, even though we have our little jiu-jitsu talks, our friendship built on us. Like, the dynamics of us.
Yeah.
And different things. And
things that go on in your life and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And, like, because I didn't know... Because we didn't know each other at all before we met. And it was the same with Kyle. It's like, I literally... Both of you, like, you don't know them at all. You're not even friends first.
And there's lots of things to find out.
Yeah,
and then
you got to actually, like, learn about the person before, you know.
I love that stage of friendship of when you don't necessarily know them inside and out. Yeah. But you're just like... What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And there's like
little... You with your middle name. Like, fuck. Like 4 or 5 years. I'm like, what the fuck?
There's like these parts that you're just like, shut up, you did not do that. Or whatever. And it's just like crazy. I love that part of discovering friends and what goes in and what made them them. Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah. Love it.
And, I think we've said before on the podcast as well with our friendship, like, we should have met, but we didn't.
It's mad.
Which is weird. And it's like, I was like, we should have met, but we didn't. And then you meet and you're like, what the fuck? Where have you been all my life? Like, you just mesh really well. And then you're like, how have we not been friends all this time? And yeah, it's interesting. I like it. I like that jiu-jitsu can bring two people together like that, that wouldn't have met in normal circumstances, and make friendships out of it.
I mean, I have so many good friends now that I feel like we're family, that we're that close, that we've travelled and you've seen the worst side of each other and you've seen people grumpy, you've seen them injured, you've seen them upset. all my closest friends now, I reckon I've seen them at every single stage you could possibly see someone in.
Yeah.
And I think it just builds that rapport with someone. And it takes your friendship next level.
Yeah. The funny thing I find about BJJ with both friendships and relationships is you see each other, like, looking your shittest.
Yeah.
Like, you look like shit, your hair is a mess, you're sweaty, you're not wearing any makeup, and if you were, it looks like shit now, you look like a skunk. And, you know, like, you're wearing, like, skin-tight stuff that you wouldn't normally wear that's not that flattering.
Yeah.
And, you know, people just, you accept each other as you are. Like, you're like, that, you know, that's who you are. And, like, every now and then you go out and actually, like, dress up and you're like, whoa, you look nice. Whoa, you look nice. Like, what the fuck? Because, like, you never see each other actually looking prime. You're like, we always look like shit, and that's just our normal for each other.
And the other thing is how, like, we physically hurt each other.
Yeah.
Like, how many times have you been smacked in the face and you've gone, holy fuck, that really hurt. It's brought you to tears, and then you're like, it's okay. It's fine. You didn't break me.
Yeah.
How many friendships can say that?
Yeah, it's funny that, like, when your friend hurts you, you want to make them feel better about hurting you.
Yeah. That joke was awesome. It was disgusting, but it was awesome.
Yeah. Or even if they accidentally hurt you, you're like, no, it's fine. And you don't want them to feel bad about hurting you.
Poker face?
Yeah. You're like, it's fine. Like, don't worry about it. Just keep going. Just keep rolling. Like, keep it going. Yeah.
And I think that that's where you get next level kind of friendships.
Yeah.
I like to pull people away from the dojo and having coffee with people, like, one-on-one, because I find that dojo time, you can sometimes not get what's happening with that person.
Yeah. Because there's so much things going on around that you can't always have personal chats at the dojo, and they might feel comfortable talking to you personally about it, just not in that scenario, because they're like, there's other people listening. Because you always overhear people at the dojo, and you're like, oh, I shouldn't hear that, but, you know, it happens. Or, like, you hear people talking about BJJ stuff, and you, like, chime in, because you hear them. And, I mean, that's cool, but, you know, like, always the worry with personal stuff that you're like, yeah, other people would probably hear me, so.
Yeah. I find that's really important for me, is even when I go up to Perth and there's friends up in Perth, I try and specifically stay with them, so then I get that one-on-one time and just break down what's going on with them and their life.
Yeah.
And that's why I'd stayed with you all the time, because it's just, I wanted to hang out and just have that extra time. Yeah.
Catch up on what's been going on. That was really cool about our friendship as well over the time, has been, like, no matter how much time went past, it was like when we caught up, it was just like no time had passed, which
every
is
single
cool
time.
Yeah. And I remember just randomly calling you when I was in France, just because I was like, well, I've got to walk up this big ass hill, and I've got about an hour walk ahead of me. Who am I going to call? I was like, Hannah, and I called, and we just chatted for the whole time. It was great.
It was so good.
And had been a long time since we talked, and we kept in contact a bit, like, by sending gifts to each other a bit, and funny memes. Like, that was our usual contact. Was just like, here's a funny meme. We're like,
I don't like texting.
Yeah.
It's too hard for me.
either.
I'm always
So
just
much effort.
blunt, straight to the point.
Yeah.
If we need to have a chat, we'll call.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it was good because there was just so much to talk about. I think we were on the phone for a good hour and a half.
Yeah. Because that was when things started getting really tense with your husband as well, and it was really good for you to be able to talk about it.
And having someone to reason with as well. And because I always appreciate your take on things, because you also will kind of call me out on, like, no.
Yeah. You're like, yes, I can see your point, but also you need to consider this, because, you know.
It was really good having, it's another thing that you give me advice, like, real.
Yeah.
And
you realize so much about yourself talking to your friends, and, like, especially if you have that one friend, you realize a lot about yourself, and I think in jiu-jitsu especially, you realize a lot about your jiu-jitsu journey by bouncing it off another person specifically.
Oh, I know that I'd always bounce stuff off you, because I'm like, you've been training similar time as to me. Yeah. Am I being stupid? Am I being overreactive to a situation? Am I justified, or do I need to tone it down? Yeah. And, like, I've really helped, because you generally knew exactly what the situation I was talking about. Yeah.
It also gives you the strength to, when you can say, oh, I'm experiencing this and it's really bothering me. It was times when, like, there were things about learning or whatever that was bothering you, and you verbalized, and I was like, no, that's actually really fair, and it gave you the courage to be able to go, all right, I'm going to talk to coach about this now, because before it was like bouncing around in your head and you're like, I feel like I'm being a bit unreasonable or it might be weird, and I'm like, and I affirm it, and you go, okay, cool, and then you're like, yeah, I'm going to talk about this like tomorrow, I'm literally going to bring it up. So
yeah, that's true, because I know there's things, it's definitely, I haven't wanted to be just like, am I just being the whingy person? Because there are people out there that just whinge about and make excuses for things, and I badly don't want to make excuse for being little, or being a girl. Yeah. But I know they come into play.
Yeah, they need to be, they're considerations. They're not excuses, they're considerations.
But there's definitely stuff that I've kind of been told that you're just like, oh no, you should be able to get it if you do this. And I'm just like, fuck me, I can't. Like, I don't think you understand. I can't do this. This like does not make sense. This does not work. Like, people just decide to put all their weight on me and I can't fucking move them. Yeah. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Yeah. I definitely have learnt to explain myself better. Yeah. This year alone, I feel like...
I've been a lot better this year as well. Like, we've made leaps and bounds in trying to work out our learning better and asking the right questions, more questions, and being persistent with
and
it.
Not accepting a half-ass answer. Yeah. I think that, to me, has been the biggest thing, is not accepting answers. I have to usually apologise afterwards and say, I'm not being disrespectful, but I genuinely don't get it. Yeah. I don't feel like you're giving me the correct answers right now. Yeah. And I've apologised because I get really blunt when I'm down, like, I've got a tunnel and I'm heading down there, and it's like, if you're not giving me the correct answers, I'm going to keep handing you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I had an interesting, like, quick talk with Chris the other day, actually. I was sort of expressing how good I was feeling about that I was asking more questions, because I think I was saying to him, in my first probably 4 years of jiu-jitsu, a lot of things really fell into my lap, like tech that I was able to use and able to utilize really fell into my lap. I was like, I can use that, and I just discarded the stuff I couldn't. And it worked for me, and I was really good at just going with it, and that's why my jiu-jitsu was like quite strong, is because it just fell into my lap. Yeah. And then the last couple of months, especially since getting my purple, I hit that sort of like bumpy road where you're like, things aren't working for me as well anymore. Like, as a purple, I don't feel like, you know, there's certain things that I've always been using that don't work on higher belts. I'm like, it's okay, it works against white and blue belts, but that's not satisfying to me anymore. When you're a purple belt, you're like, it's not satisfying for it to only work on that group of people. You're like, it needs to be legit that it works on purples, browns, blacks, and that sort of stuff. Especially like people of your own level. Yeah. And I was going like, there's things that I've always been doing that don't work on purple belts, and that for me, that's important at this stage, going, the things that I do need to work on people at my level and above. And I was talking to Chris about it, and I was like, I'm getting better at asking questions that are allowing me to make that improvement and that journey go, like, yes, I'm getting better at certain things because I'm asking the right questions to improve.
All right. That's fine. Keep going.
You're good. And so asking, I was saying to him that, and he was like, yes, and it's great because you're actually learning to readdress everything and going, I need more detail now. Yeah. It's going, like, the 80% of it when you're a white and blue belt is adequate for that. You go, the 80% is fine, and you can execute it, and it's great working on that group. When you get above that, you're like, I need to focus and fine-tune that 20% for it to actually work and for it to be on point. And that's when you got to realize you got to actually be rolling and going, there's one little thing here that's not working, and going, what do I need to address or change, and going, and then ask about it. Yeah. And that's what's changing for me now, is going, I'm asking questions about that fine-tuning, that 20%, for it to become a legit technique for me to use on all levels.
I agree with that. And then it's funny finding that tiny bit of information that you're just like, fuck yeah, why didn't you tell me this before? Or you only just notice it and you're like, how many times have you done that?
Yeah.
I did not notice that. Or where something connects because you've got the movement to be able to do something. You're like, did these connect? Like, look at this. And then you have someone just like, yeah. Saw that ages ago. Like, great. Good job.
You're so smart.
It is good.
I reckon that will basically do it for today.
It's been pretty interesting. Yeah. I love the dynamics because our experiences have been so different.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I haven't really ever, laid it out like that before either.
No.
I know, I've talked to you and a couple of the other girls about the experience that I've had, but never actually just being like, this is, the
bulk.
This is the bulk of, my relationships in the last 5 years. And, just the ups and downs of it are interesting, but being able to actually just coast through it and go, it's an interesting thing saying the greater good.
Yeah.
But the greater good of the dojo comes into a lot. And I think people that maybe that are listening or that sort of thing that are experiencing these sorts of things like relationships in the dojo dynamics and going, I don't know what to do and all that sort of thing, you do really need to think about everyone around you as well as your own well-being. While it hurts inside, if you can have 1 or 2 or 3 people that you can talk to about it quietly, deal with it in that way. Deal with it quietly in that sort of release it and get it out. And
it's to verity of what went on and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, some of them are horrendous. Obviously, a lot more.
I mean, it is, this is taking a grain of salt. And, and, in my case of you have a partner that doesn't do jiu-jitsu, you got to really learn to compromise and try and see from their side of it as well. Yeah. But on the other hand, you both have to work at it, otherwise it doesn't work.
Yeah.
If it's one-sided and either you're trying really hard to do stuff and they're not, or they're trying and you're not, it's not going to work. So you need to make sure that there's compromises on both sides. That's what I found with my relationship, is when we weren't both working at the same time, it wasn't going to work.
Yeah. And sometimes you also have to be the first one to make the compromise. Because I think some people, that you've got to compromise, but you're like,
you don't want to be first.
You're like, yeah. And so sometimes you actually just got to bite the bullet and be like, all right, I'm going to start the compromising. And they will actually probably, really follow suit really fast if you, soften that.
And if you're the friend, don't be such a judgmental asshole. Don't judge people around you.
Yeah.
That can be the biggest problem as well.
I've known people that have got really upset about, not really my relationships that I've had, although there have been people that try and get involved, gossip-wise, that really want to know what's going on. They're like, oh, are you seeing that person? Or, that sort of thing. Or, I had a guy message me that I was training with because I was seeing this other guy, and he messaged me hey, how you going? I was like, yeah, good. And he was just like, oh, so how are things with you and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what? And he was like, do you guys, see each other much? And I was like, yeah, I saw him at BJJ, a couple of hours ago. He was like, I mean, outside of BJJ, of course.
And just trying to be a gossipy little...
I'm like, that's none of your business. I'm like, why are you asking me that? Because he wasn't even a good friend. I'm like, I'll talk to my friends about this, but I'm like, we're not friends, so why are you messaging me and asking about this?
Why would you do that?
And yeah, the gossip. I think what the problem with relationships in a dojo is the gossip that surrounds it. Yeah. It's not usually the actual relationship. It's that everyone knowing and everyone talking about it, and also putting negativity into that relationship and going they shouldn't be dating, or that. I think a lot of it comes from jealousy as well. Some people 100%. Would want to be with that person, and they're jealous that the other person got it first, or that sort of thing. And so that scenario as well. So you just got to keep a level head about it and be really rational and go, it's going to happen, so don't get bitter about it, because the relationships are going to happen. They're always going to happen.
Yeah.
It's inevitable, but, you've also got to be courteous to everyone else in the dojo about it.
That is like Dr. Hannah and Dr. Joe.
It's just the magazines that people write into, having a problem with this. I'm like, well,
Anyway, this is our opinion. So if you like it, cool. If you don't, fuck off. Like,
this is our experience and that sort of stuff. And, you know, take it or leave it. I don't mind. There it is.
Anyways, catch ya.
Just see ya.